Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and I'm very pleased and honored, as always, to have in the studio with me America's finest, or one of America's finest. Lee Fong is in that category, too. There's a couple of really good people out there.
Great ones.
But you are one of America's finest investigative reporters, Greg Palast. And thank you so much for being with us here today.
Okay.
So you just came yesterday, I guess it was. You just arrived from Michigan.
That's right.
And you were checking out the recount.
Well, it's not really a recount. It was actually an attempt to count. This is what people don't understand. It's not a recount. It's really counting the votes that were not counted in the first place. There were 75,355 votes that were supposedly blank. No one voted for president. Yeah, you waited 2 hours in line, mostly in Detroit and Flint, Michigan. But it turns out that they had these crappy machines. 87 of them completely broke down. Others miscalibrated.
Now, these are scanners that are scanning
right?
paper ballots.
They have paper ballots. Cool, right? On paper ballots. But then they're read by machines. But of course, the machines screw up. You can read them with a great machine called the human eyeball. That's what Jill Stein was actually doing. She was paying millions to have human eyeballs read what the machines couldn't, because people were allowed to use red pens, pencils, make check marks instead of X's. A lot of people supposedly voted for 2 people for president. Now, I know Detroit has bad schools. Most people know you vote for one president and only one at a time. And so she was just looking at these things.
That was the charge.
That was the charge. And so they freaked out. So first thing they did was sabotage the reading of those ballots. They said 59% of the precincts in Detroit could not be that. You can't look at those precincts because there's a problem with those precincts. The seals are broken. The vote and voter log books are off. There's every place you should investigate. The Attorney General, a Republican, said you can't look at those votes. The places where the votes are missing, he said specifically, you may not look at them. It was like nuts. And then, so it was completely out of control.
And then the court shut it down.
And then the court shut it down because the judge said, probably correctly, that no matter how many times you count the votes, Ms. Stein, you are not going to win the presidency. Where's Hillary Clinton? She's the so-called aggrieved party. Right. And where is she? She was monitoring the election, right. The recount.
From high above in the clouds.
High above. So she didn't show up, so they canned it. And I can tell you from the reason they canned the vote, the recount, the Republicans, is that Trump was absolutely losing Michigan. He lost Michigan. If you counted all those missing 75,000 votes, he won by less than 11,000. It was gone. Plus, a lot of people never got to vote because they were slammed. About 50,000 Michiganders were wiped off the voter rolls by this trick called Crosscheck. And we saw it in North Carolina.
Chris Kobach,
we talked about that
Kansas,
before.
Interstate Crosscheck, his voter purge list.
Yeah, so Chris Kobach, who is the guy that came the Muslim tracking list, SB 1070, driving while brown law, he told Trump, build a wall, make Mexico pay for it. This is the guy who created this system for Trump, for the GOP secretaries of state. He's actually runs the voting system in Kansas. He got all the secretaries of state to give him all their voter lists to look for people who voted twice, because Donald Trump says elections rigged because people are voting many times.
3 million people voted illegally.
And so they voted illegally. So they were looking for these illegal voters, people who voted twice, and they came up with a suspect list of only 7.2 million Americans. But the thing was, they wouldn't show me the list. I got a hold of them. It's in my film. And it was, lists of people like James Brown, 288 guys named James Brown, voted a second time in another state, believe it or not, because they found someone named James Brown in Virginia. And they found a guy named James Brown, believe it or not, in Motown. And they said, oh, that must be the same voter running around voting everywhere.
So let's knock him off both.
So they knocked him off the voter rolls. But here's the thing. The experts said common names, James Brown, Maria Hernandez, David Kim. This list is basically a list of minority voters in America who have common names. And so they are wiped out. In fact, just a few minutes ago, I spoke to the NAACP president from North Carolina, who told me that they had 30 provisional ballots in one polling station 4 years ago. This time they had 800 voters showed up. Their names weren't on the voter rolls. 800. They're given provisional ballots, these kind of placebo ballots, which half the time don't get counted, because Crosscheck had gone through the voter rolls of North Carolina like a knife through butter. It was ugly stuff. So we ended up with
800 people whose votes never got counted.
In one station. And he didn't know what was going on. Then he saw the Crosscheck list as I showed him that I have the North Carolina Crosscheck lists.
Right.
I've got them, okay? Right. And it's ugly. I met these voters. They're not double voters. Like I say, they're people whose names like James Brown. I spoke to the Secretary of State in Michigan, his spokesman, and I said, by the way, I've got your secret list. James Brown in Michigan is supposed to be the same voter as James Brown in Georgia. They have different middle names. One's James Edward Brown, one's James Lewis Brown. Is there a problem here? And, by the way, don't you think that when you use common names like James Brown and Jose Garcia, that there might be a racial problem here? And he said, oh, I don't think so. I mean, I know a lot of white people named Brown. And that was their comment.
Yeah. And now there's an Asian American activist group that is pointing out that 1 out of 8 Asian Americans in these 30 states that use Crosscheck, these red states, these Republican-controlled states, which includes most of the swing states, that 1 in 8 Asian Americans were thrown off the list by interstate Crosscheck.
Huge in Michigan. The group is 18millionrising.org. By the way, it's a big advocacy group.
18millionrising.org.
Yeah. And so if you're Asian American and you want to support Asian American civil rights, Asian Americans used to vote Republican, so they left them alone. Now they're voting as if they turned black. In my film, I even have a scene where Korean voters suddenly go pop, 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 and they turn into John Lewis dancing Gangnam Style. So they're voting like they turned black. And so what happens now, they're getting suppressed like they're black.
Yeah.
And so 18 Million Rising joined me yesterday here in Washington to present 50 million, excuse me, I wish it was 50 million, 50,000 signatures to the Justice Department saying, please investigate this Crosscheck vote-killing gimmick while it's still a Justice Department, before Sessions makes it an injustice department.
So it sounds to me like, Russian hacker, no. Hillary Clinton poorly run campaign or not. Pretty much all, yeah, exactly. Regardless of whatever excuse is being thrown out for why, quote, Hillary lost, that she actually won the election. But this Republican voter suppression effort caused the ballots of Democrats who voted, who were Hispanic, black, or Asian, not to be counted.
Massively. In fact, I spent some real time with Jill Stein, who is leading the Recount effort. And she says, I came here expecting into Wisconsin and into Madison, expecting to find hacking evidence and expect to find Russians in the software. She said, instead, this is her line, she said, I found a Jim Crow election, old-fashioned suppression, wipe out of the black vote and the Hispanic vote and the Asian American vote. And she said, that was the election, and that's why they're stopping me, because she was exposing this thing. It surprised her. She didn't expect to see this, and it shocked her and just made her sick. And, it is sickening to see people suddenly show up and their names are missing from the voter rolls.
Right, and now the Pennsylvania recount has been shut down by a judge, and the Republicans are just fighting this like there's no tomorrow. They don't want this information out.
Because they know how it's, look, I was there.
The press doesn't want this information out for reasons that I don't understand. Why, you're on here, you're on Democracy Now, you're talking to anybody who will listen, but the corporate media does not want to discuss this. I think it's because they all have a Republican bias. They're giant corporations after all.
The only thing that they'll challenge Trump on is because he won't accept the Cold War line that the Ruskies are back, right, and they're messing with the elections. So other than the only dissent to this election, to this Jim Crow election, is that we're the old Cold War line that somehow the Russians are there. Where's the evidence? Excuse me. If a foreign power stole our election, I don't care what sources are revealed. We need that. That's our information. But instead, that's why I made a film, because, to get around the electronic censorship that I encounter.
And I know we're running out of time because you've got another interview you've got to do, and it's 16 minutes past the hour. So just so people know, the movie is called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, and it's available over at Amazon.com for $2.99. And you can organize a showing of it in your local community by going to gregpalast.com. And is there anything I'm missing?
Tonight in Baltimore, 7:30, Ethical Culture Society. If you're in the area, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, and I'll be there.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Greg Palast, gregpalast.com. The movie, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. Check it out.